Guys, this is our second video in the interview preparation series. This is a series of video from Prepleaf on various interview questions, tips and tricks. This is our second video. You can go back to our playlist and check out the first video. I've introduced myself and our company in the first video, so I won't be diving much deeper into that. But yeah, a little bit about Prepleaf before we go further. So we offer free aptitude practice on our placement preparation portal. That's free for all. You can go there and do all kinds of aptitude practice. We also give you behavioral analytics that helps you improve. We also give you paid subscription courses that are very mentor driven and that help you prepare for your placements in a very focused manner. And we also have a post-paid program in which you can pay after you get a job. And if and when you don't have to pay, but we are very sure that if you sign up for a program, we will hook you up with someone who will give you a very good job. So moving further, and with all my enthusiasm, I want to share the question today. Why analyst, coder, quant, or consulting? So this is a question about industry. Why the industry? Why do you want to become this? And I am predominantly assuming that you are either an art student or an engineering student or an MBA student. So your core doesn't prepare you really for it until you are a management student. So why this industry? And these are the major roles that you get in your placement process. So why this? And it's a very valid question, and let's look into it. Why do they ask this question? But before that, let's look at some alternatives as well. That what are the alternative forms of this question? So they can ask you that your core or experience is in this, like in your department, or your interests from your resume lie in this. Then why this field now? And this question can also be in the case that your resume has a lot of startup things, like your resume is very entrepreneurial. You have worked with startups, you have tried to start up on your own. Why do you want to be in a corporate? So that question can also come here. So your core experience is this. Why this field now? Why are you switching now? Why should we hire you? This is a related question, and lightning mark means that these are very commonly asked. So as already this question is very commonly asked, but these are very common alternatives of this question. And this question as well, this is the very favorite question of mine because this is a very underlooked one, but many people ask this, and you know, it's a tricky question of some sorts. Like, what other kinds of roles are you considering? They want to see that how badly do you want to be in this industry? Are you already considering second options? Are you already considering leaving this because you can't get into it? Are you that incapable of getting into it? What other roles are you considering? So it's a very valid question in this context, that if you want to be in this, what else are you considering? Are you considering to pivot? And you know, there is a certain way to answering this question, and we will look at that. But first, let us look into, like in our first video we did, that why do they ask this question? What is their motto behind asking this question? It's very simple. They want to see if you're serious. Nobody wants an unserious candidate. Like, if I join my company on the verge of leaving it after 4 months, why will they hire me? Companies invest almost a month's salary in hiring their potential employees. So, you know, it's a very costly affair. So they don't want to invest into someone who doesn't stick around, who is not serious. Are you enthusiastic, or are you just doing it for the sake of it? Yes, you might be serious because you're doing it, but are you enthusiastic about it? Do you just do coding for the job? Do you just do technical jobs because they pay more than business jobs? Is that what it's about? Is that about the paycheck? Or are you really enthusiastic about the work? Because that is what drives you in the job. Jobs are very highly pressured environments. So, you know, your enthusiasm matters a lot. What are you treating this as a second option? Many people say that I wanted to go for GATE, I wanted to go for higher studies, but since I couldn't get anything, I thought I'll do a job. Not acceptable. Nobody likes to be treated as a second option. And I often say, and many of my friends, I have heard them say, finding a job is like a marriage. You have to, you know, find your match. The other person has to like you, you have to like the other person. And think about it this way, you're gonna date someone and then you tell them, I liked someone else, but I just kind of moved on to you. Nobody likes that, you know. Nobody likes to be treated as the second option, be it an employer, be it a girlfriend, anything. So just don't tell them that this was your second option. It either has to be your first option, or you have to fake it that it was your first option, but don't ever say that it was your second option. Does she have a can-do attitude? So do you have a can-do attitude? And by a can-do attitude means whatever comes my way, I will do it. Jo bhi aaye main kar sakta hu. Can do, I can just do it, you know. I'm Nike. So do you have that? And they want to hear that if you're a good fit, like your past experience tells something, maybe you have transferable skills, maybe you have good math skills. There must be something that proves to your success in the current role, and that is what they want to discuss. So that is their motto behind asking this question. And if you keep this in mind, it's very easy to frame your answer. You have to have some talking points, and then you have to think of some things that you don't have to talk about. Now let's look at what you should talk about. But before that, I want to tell you this, and this is a very sincere advice to all those who are preparing. Please think what you want. Do not fake it too much. If you don't like a technical job, please don't fake it to the point where you might make it to the interview, but in the end you are cribbing about the job. And it's important that before you sign up for these interviews, before you sign up for these jobs, you think about what you want. You think about what I like, you think about what I know, and you think about how you really want to proceed with that. And it's very important. You have to do your research before going into these interviews so that you're not faking it too much. Because ultimately, at most you're lying to them. Yes, that's obvious. But you're also lying to yourself, and that will have a toll on you. So think what you want. Have that conversation with yourself that, like, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, what do I want to do? What I really want to do. Okay, now that you've thought about it, how to really answer this question? And it's very simple, very simple. Just point to a story that led you to believe that you can be good at this. For example, there was this COVID pandemic in which I really liked making a dashboard for COVID in which I could track the current infections or the current fatality rate or the R0 factor and all those things. This is something that I really liked doing by myself, and this is something that kind of is a representative of my interests and my skills towards the field. That's for an analyst. Similarly, for a coder, I just happened to be on Chrome someday. I was shopping for a laptop and I realized that after browsing 10 websites, there was so much disparity in laptop prices that I wanted to have a small extension in Chrome that gives me the best price of the laptop from all the e-commerce websites. That's something you can build over a week, but that's a good one. You can say in your interview that's something that I build just for my own interest, just for my own hobbies. And that tells that you want to be a coder, you like building things, you like to code. So that's something. You can tell stories like this. Or you can point to courses like P4. So P4 is Prep Placement Preparation Program. This is a very extensive program. This comprises of our paid courses in which students do industry relevant projects and they learn skills that are relevant to the industry, that helps them get a job. It gives luster to their resume, it gives them the skills, and it gives them the confidence that they can get the job and they deserve the job, So you can mention courses like that. You can mention the projects in those courses if you have done courses other than these. Don't mention Coursera, Udemy courses. They are not really that important unless they're really good. So maybe then you can, if they're really good, but I would doubt if somebody was to mention Coursera or Udemy because they lack credibility. Or you could talk about the JD and PPT, how you thought that this JD and PPT, how it talked about the role, suffices for my needs, how it shows me that I am good enough for the job, how it tells me that my skills are a good match for the job. So you can talk about the JD or the PPT. How do you research about these questions really? How do you go about getting a feel of these questions? So here is a list. You can do a simple Google of these. A day in the life of XX videos, like an XX here is this coding, quant, consulting analyst profile, whatever be the role. So what does a day in the life of this look like? And you have many videos like that, like how does a data analyst life look like? What is the Facebook engineer's life, software engineer's life look like? And that's an important, it tells you like what will be your day like, how will be your work like, what will be the work-life balance, etc. And that gives you a good understanding. And those are important questions. Sometimes you might know that some jobs are very travel heavy and you might be a traveler, so you might like traveling. So you can say, I want to be in this industry because it's a travel heavy industry. And yes, along with my work, I do like to travel. So you can say that in consulting. Or I like to have face-to-face conversations in consulting. Or talk to these people at the firm and what they do. So a very good story that I have for you guys is that I was helping a girl prepare for a company that I interned with, and she absolutely had very slim chances. I can tell you, like, her probability of qualifying among all the candidates could have been low because of just of her profile. I'm not saying she was not able. She did get the job in the end, so she was able enough. But what happened in the start was that she wasn't shortlisted. So she did some referrals and here and there and pulled some strings, and she did get an interview, but it was a requested one, so she was not very confident. But what I did was, I did tell her about the company. I had interned with the company, so I knew the structure of the company, I knew the verticals of the company, I knew the tools of the company, I knew the projects of the company. I told her about those, and she talked about those in the interview critically, that okay, I want to work on these projects, I like these projects, I like the nature of these projects. And that is what hit the interviewer home. The interviewer was like, how do you know so much about our company even before joining it? And if that is your enthusiasm before joining, you should definitely get on board. So that is the idea. You should talk to the people at the firm, and you can easily find these people on LinkedIn. You can easily find them from your senior batches, from your alumni network. Do talk to them. Do understand what the company, how the company works, what are their verticals, what are they into, how's the work-life balance, how do they treat their employees, what's the work culture like, etc. Google why I should become analyst, coder, quant profile. This is somewhat similar to the first question. And think about what it needs to become one. For a coder, it needs to become, for a coding person, they need to have a good hold over data structures and algorithm. They need to sit for hours and sit and code. Do you really want that? I knew I didn't. I didn't sit for technical roles because I was sure that I didn't want it. And it's good to have that surety. You are not destroying your options. You're just selecting a few, and it's always important to have that fish eye like Arjun had to aim at. So you're not killing your options, you're just increasing your chances in the select few that you have. What to answer? You can always go back to these things and see the relatable points, and these are very important. Look at your education. If you're an engineering student, you have the math skills, you have the soft skills. 4 years of college gives you so much perspective, so much diversity in the world that you come across in these 4 years of college. So it gives you the perspective, it gives you the holistic understanding about humanity and in general how things work. So say that your education equips you for that. Maybe you have done some social sciences courses that gives you perspective into human psyche. I am into marketing analytics, and it's important for me to understand consumer psyche. So all the psychology courses that I did, they came in handy in my interviews, and I played to my strengths. So always look at your education, and if you are good at maths, say that your good math grades equip you for the good performance in your job. Say that. Experience and projects. There is every time you do some project, there is always something to learn that you can apply in your job. Find that thing and nail it hard. Nail it in the interviewer's head that you have to hit this home, that this is what I learned from the experience and projects, and this is how it is relevant to the industry or the job. Look for volunteer work. This is generally a position of leadership and responsibility. It gives you project management experience. It gives you team coordination. These are good PORs that you can mention, position of responsibilities that you can mention in your interviews. Never leave those out. Talk about the skills. Here you can mention those Udemy, Coursera, or other courses that you might have gone through. Mention those online courses. Mention the past projects you have done. Mention your interests, your self projects, your inclinations, what you really like. Yes, I am an analyst for now, but I also like machine learning, so I'm willing to acquire those skills in the future. Liking towards the field, liking towards related field. I am into customer analytics, I am into campaign analytics, but I'm also into customer segmentation and customer modeling. Talk about those things. Talk about specific points about the field. And I'll give you a sample answer and I'll talk about this again. So let me come back to this. And talk about enthusiasm and interest. Show that you mean it. There are JD and PPTs. There are job descriptions and there are PPTs. The presentations, the pre-placement talks. Look at those. Those are not in vain. They tell you the career ladder. They tell you what the job is like. They tell you what their days are like. Listen to those. Understand those. Talk to the alum. Understand what the job is like. Understand what the company is like. And these things will really help you have a very good conversation with your interviewer. A very good conversation. So do that, please. And let's look at a few keynotes. Some do's and don'ts. So as I said, keep an interest and skills-based approach. Self projects come in very handy. As I told you, repeated stories of how I built a COVID dashboard or a Chrome extension, etc. Play around the JD and the PPT. They really like that. They are all for it because they give a PPT and they are like, nobody listens to it. But When you give them attention, it just is automatically going to happen. It's just a psychological thing. You give somebody attention and you have all theirs. So, give attention to seek some. So play around the JD and the PPT. Sound convincing. Don't sound boring. Don't sound mundane. Don't sound polished. But sound like you're thinking. Sound like you're actually creating that answer in your head. But have it crammed. Just have it ready in your head, but sound convincing. Do not say that you don't have an option. Don't ever say that you didn't have an option and that is why you signed up for this job. As I told you, nobody likes to be treated as a second option. Do not oversell yourself. Sometimes people tend to do this. They tend to give 2-minute answers. They tend to just extend it and they just keep talking about their self, projects, interests and whatnot and how good they are, etc. You don't have to oversell yourself. And you certainly don't have to talk about how good you are in this field or how able you are. Just talk about tangible things you have done, skills you have acquired, interests you have had, etc., etc. So just don't oversell yourself, okay? Confess blatantly that you're not XYZ. I have seen people and I have heard people because I take a lot of mock interviews in my interview preparation course. So at least like 10 to 20 odd people in the last 2 months have told me that, okay, I'm really not a coder. So I don't want to code, but I kind of don't have an option. So it is like no option thingy, but it also like you're blatantly saying that you're not this person. And if you're not this person, then why are you here? Why are you lying to yourself and why are you lying to me? So do not confess that you're not that person. You kind of have to be that person if you are being present there. So just don't say that. Or fall for the pseudo stress. And sometimes it's going to be like, you're going to say that I am an analyst or I like being an analyst, but your interviewer will look at your resume and he'll throw it at your face and he'll say that you're not. What will you do then? Do not back down. Somebody tells you that you're not something, you can tell them that I'm very well am. Pakistanis tell us all the time that we are not patriots. Maybe we are. What do you know? So you just don't back down from your commitment. That's it. Some sample answers, and I really like these answers. I've discussed them with other mentors at PrepLeaf, and these are very good answers for these questions. So why do you want to be an analyst? And again, this is a role-based answer, so do not have the same answer for every role. So first the question, why do you want to be an analyst? So my reasons are twofold. I think my engineering studies give me a good mathematical background to ace the field, and I love telling stories with data and finding jaw-dropping insights. For example, sometimes a KPI is a key performance indicator, or a BAN. A BAN is a big ass number that can really make people stop in their ways. It's really fascinating to me and I want to keep doing that. Now look at this answer and just marvel at it. It gives you 2 points. It tells you that your education equips you for this, and the second thing is it gives one sentence that's just pure technical. For an analyst, if you tell them that you like working with KPIs and you like telling stories with data, which is a very specific thing to the field, and if you are at least a little bit into the field, you will know these things. Students from my course, from the data analytics course at PrepLeaf, know these things very well. They know how to tell data stories. They know how to work with KPIs and BANs. They have created dashboards. So they know what they're talking about. So if you know what you're talking about, you're really gonna sound very convincing. And these technical things, KPIs and BANs, will really convey how you are. Now look at this. I'll give you a very vague answer. This is a good one. I'm not saying this is a bad answer, but I'll give you a vague answer and you'll see the difference. What's the difference between these two? I have written these two answers, but this I have written, why do you want to be a web developer? You are from mech, you are from mechanical. So why do you want to be a web developer? This is my answer, okay? I'm not a web developer, I'm not from mechanical, but this is my answer and I'll show you how this is different from this answer. And this is a good answer nevertheless, but still it is different. I'll show you. I joined mech for a reason. I wanted to build bots. Maybe the same reason why I joined RoboClub, but in my third year, I was sitting with a friend and within 10 seconds or so, he changed his FB page to his liking. He just removed all the clutter and there was just simple newsfeed. And I realized building websites, building and playing with websites is 100x more fun than bots, and I've never settled since. What the good thing about this answer is it's realistic, it tells a story and it tells a very, very convincing story. But the bad thing about this answer is it's not at all technical. It does not contain the technical skills. It does not contain anything about the field. And why is that? Because I don't know the field. And you can see that I have written a good answer, but I have not written anything about the field. And that gives me a disadvantage, somewhat disadvantage at this answer. And if you are from the field, I would like you to have this kind of an answer in which you give some background from your education and you give some technical details from your field that tells the person that you know the field very well. Okay. So again, the focus of this answer was interests, and the focus of this answer was a story. The good thing about this answer was only the story. The good thing about this one was only the interest. I would want you to tell a story with interests. Okay, so always go for that. Always go for a story in your interview. Okay, I will cover that in my interview tips and tricks videos, how you should tell stories, etc. But that's for a later video. Okay, that's all for the video today. Just before signing out, as a quick exercise, I just wanted to tell you that we have a lot of free videos on our YouTube channel that covers different parts of the placement process. For example, interviews, skill building, role-based placement preparation, or general placement awareness. So this can be about CV building, how the companies recruit, etc. What's the onboarding process like, or it can be role-based prep, finance, quant, or product-based roles, or it can be skills, SQL, Advanced Excel, PropStat. These are very good webinars. Very good webinar on PropStat, a very good webinar on SQL and Advanced Excel, although those were taken by me, so I can't praise myself, but sure. So HR interviews, and these are the 7 most asked puzzles, and these are very important ones. Our co-founder has covered it. Excellent videos. Please do check them out. They are both in Hindi and English, so do check them out. Finally, I would seriously implore you to like, share and subscribe if you like the video. As always, you can comment your answer. I will critique your answer. I will look at your answer and I will give you what's right and what's wrong about your answer. So do type your answer in the comment box and I will have a look at it. Thank you so much.